Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Terran News Network, your most trusted source in all news in the Terran Republic. Tonight's breaking story is an update from President Vija Rome on the 5 planets and other systems that have been discovered by Terran Survey Command over the past year. President Vija Rome recently announced during an interview earlier today that it is her priority that these planets be colonized and begin industrialization before her current term ends in 2103. These planets include Alpha Centauri A2, which is rich in iridium and has a ruined city on it, Alpha Centauri B4, which is rich in uranium and titanium, Psi Ceti A2, which is rich in the precious sorium that is needed to be refined into fuel for our ships, and finally Psi Ceti B1, which is rich in corundium, which is needed to build many of our planet-side buildings, as well as neutronium and marcassium. That is all for this special report from Terran News Network, voted the most trusted source in all news in the Terran Republic. If we're not talking about it, it's not important. Until next time. Hello everybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Aurora 4X C# Edition, version 2.1.1. So, as you heard in the little news report thing that I did at the start, as I mentioned last time, some parts will have that, other parts won't. It is entirely dependent upon whether or not I think there's anything particularly interesting to go and do with that. This was one of those cases where I thought, hey, that could be an interesting thing to do. So I decided we're going to do it. Let me go ahead and get my timer started. So, for those of you that were listening to it, of course, the current president, Vija Rome, whose term ends basically in a year, has basically called for an order to colonize these 5 planets, 3 in Alpha Centauri and 2 in Psi Ceti. I do not actually expect us to successfully complete the colonization of all 5. We will try to get as close as we possibly can, but that's about the extent of our thing, and we'll see exactly how that affects, just in the background for role-playing purposes, the election in at the end of 2103, and with the new one being sworn in 2104. Also, for those of you that were watching the ticker down at the bottom, you will know that the army went through a fairly significant restructuring, as you can see by a whole bunch of ground units scrapped. I managed to get everybody under their caps. Some are quite far under their caps, and I will potentially be adding in some extra units or something to sort of try and get them a little bit closer again. We've got a bunch of spare sort of various support type, platoons and companies and things that I'll need to add in where they need to go in the future, but as of right now, we're just going to kind of leave the army as it is. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and check our fleets. The cargo fleet is currently not doing anything. The colony fleet is also currently not doing anything. So, what do we have? I think it was like 100-something infrastructure available, yes. Okay, we are going to tell well, let's see, where do I want to colonize first? I think this is the big question. So, Alpha Centauri A2 has a ruined city, which is a very nice thing. It has iridium, which is not a particularly important resource for us personally. At least, as of right this moment. Alpha Centauri B2 does not have much in the way of super useful resources, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, it has, corbomite, marcassium, some sorium. There's a tiny amount of iridium. It's got galsite. That is the biggest thing for it. And galsite is important for us because we need it for our missiles. Finally, there's Alpha Centauri B4, which is a ton of duranium, titanium, and marcassium, all of which is important to us. Those 3 are used quite a bit when it comes to building ships, if I recall correctly, yes. There's the marcassium, there's the duranium, and titanium is actually not necessary for our carriers, but they are needed for the guided missile cruisers. Are they needed for the destroyers as well? Yes, they are. Okay, I assume that's necessary because of the railguns. If I had to make a guess. That would be the most likely reason. To which the actual answer is no. Is it the power plants that need it? No. Okay, what the hell needs that? Beamfire control? No, that's iridium. What the hell needs tritanium? It's corbomite for ECM. Oh, is it the missile launchers themselves, maybe? Yes, it's the missile launchers themselves. Okay. Okay, yes, that would explain it. Okay. Now that we've solved that mystery. I'm going to be completely honest. I think the most important thing for us to go for, yeah, we're actually kind of low on fuel reserves now. We've already used up like 10 million, apparently. Is probably to go for Alpha Ceti A2, or excuse me, Psi Ceti A2 for that 11 million sorium. So I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to go for Psi Ceti A2 as our first colony outside of the Sol system. So, oh, but I can't actually do that until the jump ship is done. And the jump ship is currently working on Alpha Centauri and not Psi Ceti, so it's going to be a little while. We may not manage to actually achieve even a basic level of colonization outside of the Sol system within the next year, because it's half a year for that to finish, and then I need to send it via a tug. Are you working right now? You are. You've already done some work, so screw it, I'm gonna let you finish. I'll let you finish, and then we'll try to get you over to Psi Ceti, and at least stabilize our side. Because the only ships in my fleet that have jump drives are the exploration ships. Everything else relies on having a stable jump gate. Or, well, a stabilized jump point, aka a jump gate. I'll bring back up events. New jump point discovered over here. A bunch of people just got medals for 10, 20, and 30 years of service. And you cannot do anything. I assume that is because I sent you back here for, yeah, okay. You would be Alpha Centauri, and then transit through that jump point. We have finished researching ion drives, which is nice. We're going to go ahead and... I think there was a tech that we hadn't finished. Oh no, did I already do that last part? I must have already done that last part. Okay, never mind then. Never mind then. Am I working on the reactor? Yes, I am. Okay. Anything to do here for missiles? Not right this second, so we're going to hold off on that. Let's see. What do I want? You know, I think we're going to go for construction rate so we can get stuff built a bit faster on our planet. New system. Lalande 21185. Doesn't seem to have anything really worth talking about. There's a single terrestrial planet. Fairly small population that it supports, and it has rift valleys, and it's also a Venusian world, so it's not that great. It might have sorium, potentially. We'll see about that. Oh, production of infrastructure on Earth finished. I think we're going to go ahead and say build me a bunch of mines, because I kind of need those. Yeah. Go ahead and build me, we'll say, 300 mines. Did you survey this? You did. Mercassium, iridium, and corundium. Corundium is useful for building. Particularly mines. Those are the things that really need corundium. But because it is a Venusian world, we can't really afford to give it a traditional colony. It's just way too expensive. You want your colony cost as close to 0 as you can. It is well outside of our preferences. So we're, I think, just going to have to kind of ignore that one. At least for the foreseeable future. Okay. Explorer 1 has finished his orders. Let's go ahead and ship him off to another place. Let's bring you back home for a quick refuel, though. Refuel and resupply, and then you're going to fly back out here, and then let's go through jump point 1. Okay, tugs are orbiting Earth. We have found a jump point. And Alpha Centauri has been completed. Wonderful. Yeah, we're definitely not going to get the colonization of Siceti done, but I guess we could go ahead and start a colonization in Alpha Centauri. Oh, shoot. Actually, I could have gotten you doing this earlier, but I didn't realize you'd actually finish getting shipped over here. This is the downside of telling them to immediately return to Earth to refuel. I didn't realize that it actually finished dropping you off. I probably could have given you maybe a month of already doing your job, but because I didn't realize you were done moving into position, it's a little late to do anything about that. Okay, well, in that case, let's just go ahead and go for an Alpha Centauri system, or planet first, in which case I really think I want to go for Alpha Centauri 8-2 because of the ruined city. But I believe I only have the one survey team, correct? Yes, that would in fact be correct. Also, bring you up here. And you, I actually want to go ahead and tell you to transit through and stabilize the other end. Yeah, okay, that is correct. Yeah, so let's go ahead and have you fly off to Mars. Nope, sorry. Fly to Mars, load up the survey team, fly them to Alpha Centauri. And unload all ground units there. That is right, it's A2, correct? Or is it A4? It's A2. Well, excuse me, there is no A4, actually. That's my bad. Yeah, so go ahead and dump them off there at A2 so they can start doing that. Cargo fleet. Are you fueled up? You are. Wonderful. You do have an escort as well. Not that it's necessary right this second, of course. Pick up some infrastructure. Fly to Alpha Centauri. Go to A2. Unload all. Fly back to Sol. I'm going to tell you to refuel anyway, and then I want you to repeat this entire thing, we shall say 3 times. Colony fleet. Load up on colonies, fly over here, unload them, fly back, Refuel at Earth. Repeat 3 times. Wonderful. Go ahead and get that all going. Strike Group 1 has finished its orders. Did you actually drop them off? That is the big question. And the answer to that is a resounding... Yes, you did. Wonderful. So there are... Oh, we may not actually need to do this because apparently we already know who did it. It's the same species as Mars. So I think actually I just need to send a... engineering team over. Do I have a spare? Yeah, I got a shit ton of spare engineering teams. How are you guys doing with the whole stuff on Mars? You doing okay there? Because I don't think I've seen any updates on that for a little while now. I may want to bring a couple. Yeah, I think I'm going to want to bring a couple. I don't think I can put you guys together. Yeah, no, I can't. I need a, what is it? It would be a battalion HQ, I believe. I don't have anybody with a battalion HQ on hand. And platoon is too small. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna tell you guys, where are you? Expeditionary Strike Group 1. Fly back to Seoul. Pick up the 15th Engineering Company and the 3rd Engineering Company. Fly back to here. Unload them all. Fly back to Seoul. I want you to pick up one more engineering company. We're going to say the 9th Engineering Company and unload them at Mars and then fly back to Earth and refuel for the last time. Explorer 1 is having some technical issues. But I think it'll live. Transit failed. Oh, yes, because we actually don't have the other side. That has another 104 days to go. And annoyingly, the game doesn't allow me to basically just be like, ignore this for right now. I know, game. I know. Just give me the time. It'll go. I just don't do delays, or what is that, 6-hour increments? Yeah, it's freaking 6-hour increments. Which is very annoying, so I'm just going to work out my finger here because I don't care to cancel their orders and reissue them, to be honest. So we're just going to go ahead and quickly do this. Another 50 days to go. I think we just found another survey point, but I'm clicking fast to try to get this all done. I could cancel the order, it's just, I don't care to. I really don't. So, another month. Maintenance problems, yeah, those guys I think need to come back and go through an overhaul. There you go. Now you guys can go. Okay, and Saiseti also finished at the same time. Wonderful. Transit to the other side. And stabilize that jump point. Alpha Centauri, where does this one go? This one goes here to a useless system, so I could go and set it up if I wanted to. on our end, at least. It should be noted, when you stabilize a jump point in this game, the way it functions is both ends, as evidenced by those fleets not being able to transit back, need to have a jump gate. So ships without jump drives can transit through a jump point that has been stabilized on one end, but then they're stuck unless you stabilize the other end. So I could go ahead and stabilize here into the Lalande system, but not stabilize back if I wanted to. It would allow me to go, but I would not be able to return until I stabilize the other end. Which isn't necessarily the worst idea ever. It would allow me to, in theory at least, be able to react if I had sensors or something in this system to the presence of other species, but that's not too important right now, so I think we're just not going to do it right now, but we will definitely be doing it in the future. I assume you guys are still doing your orders? Yep, let you finish that stuff. What I will do is, here it is, mines, add demand for 300 mines. Is that the amount I'm building on Earth? Yes, that would be the amount that I was building on Earth. Wonderful. Whoops, edit supply, add a 3 in front of that. Venus, what are you giving me again? I don't recall. Not corundium. In fact, I have no sources of, well, no good sources of corundium within the Sol system. So once Earth is out, I'm going to need to ship it in from out of system or buy it off of these guys. And these guys don't have tons of it either, realistically. There just are not good sources of corundium within the Sol system, basically. Where would I get more of it? Siceti B1, because of course. Yeah, that's something we're going to have to deal with. Let's go ahead and tick away. You have finished. Wonderful. Pull you up. That was your fuel. Well, your maintenance is kind of low, so I'm going to... And I think technically you're overdue for a refit. Or for an overhaul. No, technically you're not. You're at 35 months out of 36 months of deployment time, but you're close enough. Then I'm going to tell you to come back to Sol. Begin overhaul, and refuel and resupply from Colony. Go ahead and get it done. We had a factory restored. Another automated mine on Mars. Which, I mean, is okay, I guess. It's not super useful, all things considered, but it's not terrible, I guess, either, technically. Also, I'm going to want Earth to probably build me 5 STOs. At least 1 to plop down on each of these planets, particularly as we colonize them. It'll provide some basic defense in the event that raiders pop up, which they will pop up as soon as we have explored 10 systems, which we have 7 so far. Actually, don't know if it counts your starting system as one of those 10. If it does, then yeah. We are going to have to deal with that. There we go. That's what I want. Set up like that. Also show me military restricted systems. should I ever set them up like that. I also want to see the distance from selected system, so I can figure out roughly how far away they are from each other. Another factory restored, another factory restored, bunch of factories being restored. Mars, and 120 abandoned infrastructure on Alpha Centauri A2. Well, that is very helpful indeed. Because that means you don't need nearly as much infrastructure, which is always nice. Luna, how is your environment, or, your terraforming going? It's going. It's going. Adding nitrogen by itself is not going to necessarily bring down the colony cost all that much. But it is an important resource nonetheless, so that's why we're doing it. Okay, cargo fleet. The first cargo group, rather, has finished its orders. Pull up naval. What I want you to do. Well, what's our infrastructure on Earth looking like in terms of availability? We have 800 available. It is October. So, let's go ahead and just to double check my info, it is Sci-City A2 that I really want for that. But we're going to have corundium issues first before we have sorium issues. Sorium has a depletion of 15 years. And we're actually having issues with the corundium because we're not actually producing it nearly fast enough to offset our usage of building these mines. And that's partly because basically we're building the mines so damn fast, is really the simplest way to describe it. We're building the mines so quickly that we've actually run through most of our stockpile. And yeah, so projected uses of 25,000, and our stockpile plus production is only 10,000. I think we're going to go actually for Sci-City B1. So, Earth, load up on infrastructure, fly out to Sci-City, go to B1, unload all, head back to Sol, refuel, and then repeat that 3 times. Did we finish building the jump gate on this side? No, it has 49 days. Well, hopefully you guys are kind of slow, so we don't go through that again. And nope, you're not, but it's not nearly as long of a wait. So there's just, so, what was that? We finished our research. What was it? Colonization cost reduction. Oh, that's helpful. That's very, very helpful. Let's go for... we're going to need to seriously up our fighter production and ordnance. I think we already have ordnance up here, though, right? I thought we did. Apparently not. Really? Is ordnance somewhere else? Is it in here? Ordnance is over here, okay. So... let's see. What was it again? God damn it, I forgot already. Colonization cost reduction. Let's go for shipyard operations. Oh, also, did somebody finish... whoops, wrong one. Nope, damn it, wrong one again. Colony fleet, are you done? You are, actually, okay. Load up on colonists, Saiseti, B1. Did I send you to the right place? And I get the feeling that I might not have. No, I did, okay. Saiseti B1, unload, Sol, Earth, refuel, repeat 3 times. That's all just to get us a decent population, but also it's just sort of a drop in the bucket initially. I need to go ahead and ship over some... Well, actually, I don't think we have the STOs done, right? They're still building, correct? Yes, they're not going to be done until March 20th, 2105. There we go. Okay, now the question is, do I move to here? Because this system doesn't have anything worth writing home about. It's got a dwarf planet with no resources. And it doesn't support a particularly large population. And I don't think this system is far enough to really be worth it for... Yeah, system's not quite far enough away to be worth it. So we're just going to go ahead and ignore that. Actually, I also want you to go ahead and get to work on building me... What is my composition for these again? I know one of these has 3. It's 3 regiments and 1 division. Okay. And we're going to plop those down on each of our colonies as well as a basic garrison. Okay, well, let's go ahead and we're just going to click through this one at a time. Let's let the year pass by. And it is now January 1st, 2104. This means it's time for me to go ahead and run an election, so 1 second. Okay, and we are back. Let's go ahead and... This is just a LibreOffice document that somebody made over on the Aurora forums that they posted for being able to do this. So, first things first, I need to update our population because it has grown. 11,244. Okay, and now we just press F9 a couple of times until we get what is considered a valid election. Copy and paste those numbers. And Vija Rome, who was up for re-election, who was up for re-election, has won yet again with 56.99% of the vote. Followed up yet again by Oliver Gustafsson. We have, let's go ahead and refresh this tab. Now she is part of the Pacifists Party, which I don't know necessarily what their coalition looks like. But a standard coalition has the majority, so no custom coalitions are allowed if I full screen this. So, I don't know necessarily what her coalition looks like. I guess if we take a look up here, we can sort of try to guess. Interestingly, it looks like her appeal is not the greatest, actually, among the pacifists anyway. Most of her appeal seems to come from the Republicans and the Trade Party in particular. So we can assume that the coalition probably consists of some group, basically, of pacifists, Republicans, and the Trade Party. Presumably. You can also see sort of what my idea of our starting legislations is like. So, There we go. Don't have any events to update. We already had ruins here at the ruins available at the very start, and technically we still have ruins available. It's just, you know, they're currently being reorganized. We're not at war in any way. We don't have mineral shortages yet. We don't have a budget deficit. We haven't had first contact, no casualties, and then there's no widest ideals for any of the parties right now, at least. So she won re-election. However, you know, you're limited to 2 terms in this world. So she will be no longer running for office next time around. But in the meantime, and that's purely just for background, so that I can have some name to reference when I do a news report, for example. It has literally 0 noticeable impact on the actual campaign here, as far as I'm concerned. It's purely for RP purposes. So let's go ahead and continue on. 5-day increments. Maintenance support facility has finished upgrading, or well, has finished the research for it. And I'm gonna want to restart production on both of those, I think. Oh god, especially for the fuel. Because we are way down on fuel. Luckily, we can relatively quickly now jump to Siceti A2, but my main issue is going to be that I don't currently have a fleet set aside specifically for those. So we're going to need to build some more freighters. So, unassigned cargo fleet. I guess the question is going to be exactly how quickly they... It's going to be how quickly we manage to get the mining up and operational. Is going to be the big thing. Because if we take forever to get the mining up, so if we, let's go ahead and pull up our freighter real quick. So our freighter is able to carry 53,000 cargo each. It's not a whole lot. It's a fairly small freighter, only 100,000 tons. You might say 100,000 tons, it seems kind of large. And I mean, sure, except for when you're talking about freighters in this game. Because if I swap out, you know, we'll just upgrade this design, and we will swap out the 2 standard cargo holds and the 6 tiny cargo holds for even a single large, and it jumps up to 172,000 and loses about half of its speed. Admittedly, though, I don't think it needs frickin', what is that, like 2 and like a quarter, maybe 2.5 years worth of fuel. That's admittedly kind of extreme now that I think about it. So let's go ahead and let's look into a new one. Why not? We will go with 2 very large fuel tanks, or fuel storage rather. That gets you down a little bit, but not too much. And then I guess the question is just, let's go ahead and start looking into new techs. So we're just going to go ahead and basically build a engine that is effectively a exact copy of this one. So first things first is to figure it out. What does that engine look like? So it is a size 5,000. And this would be that engine. Fuel use per hour, 16.8 liters, 16.77 would round to 16.8. Fuel consumption per engine power hour is correct. Let's go ahead, and if I were to just say improve the fuel efficiency, that gets us down to 14 fuel use per hour. And then jump the engine from nuclear gas core to an ion engine. That jumps us back up, but it adds 125 engine power. I like to have company names, so this is going to be Caprio Engines Limited. They're a commercial ion drive. And we are going to prototype this. Now, out of curiosity, if I were to design one that is the same power, it would shave 1,000 tons off of it. We're going to prototype that one too, just so we can have some more examples to look at. But first things first, slap 8 of the new ion engines on it and see how that affects things. Well, the speed goes to, it gains, what is that, like 300 kilometers a second of speed compared to if I just used the same old engine originally. Okay. And if I were to, say, swap to 8 of these, I think that's actually technically still a little bit faster. But how does that affect fuel efficiency out of curiosity? This is actually more fuel efficient, which is why you're at 666 days at full power. Which again, I think is kind of extreme. The reality is you're probably going to only ever be out like at a year at most. So change of plans. We're going to go with one very large fuel tank, which I don't think is actually what we're going to do. Well, actually, what is the difference? So that is 1,000 each, and this is 250 each. So there's basically zero difference there. Out of curiosity, if I slapped an ultra large on you, that is a shit ton of fuel. I don't... With that much fuel, I could go ahead and significantly improve your... the number of engines I give you to get you back down. But again, you become an absolutely massive freighter. That is the issue that I have here. Is I don't think I really want to try to build a almost 300,000 ton freighter. It would take forever to upgrade our shipyards to be able to deal with something of that size. So we're going to delete this class. Copy this one again. Update the armor. Keep you at that. And I'm just going to slap 8 of the new engines on you. You are about 500 faster and are a little bit lighter. So I can slap a couple of extra... Oh, not another standard. And not a small either, but I can slap a couple... a little bit extra on you. Not too much. 2 very large fuel tanks is more than sufficient fuel for your actual needs. That's still just a little... Okay. I can't quite get you back to 100,000, at least using this method. But I can go ahead and slap cargo, or excuse me, maintenance storage on you. Question is, do I want to do a small, or 2 smalls, or a single regular? I think we're going to go with a single regular. It gives you a ton of extra for max repair. And I guess I'll just slap a little extra fuel to get you back to 100,000. So you are 500 kilometers a second faster and the same size. Yeah, so the whole reason for upgrading armor is that it allows you to basically achieve the same armor protection but with less individual armor. Basically, it weighs less. I need to turn on Space Master real quick so I can unlock this design. So if we look at composite armor, it is, well, it's 50 tons no matter what. Annoyingly, the game doesn't tell me how much armor each one individually adds. Because the weight itself doesn't change, and it costs extra, but as you can see, we have less armor. Less armor units, I guess, added. But still managed to achieve the same armor of 1 to 191. So we're going to go ahead and... I guess we'll keep the 500 drive, because maybe I'll use it, maybe I won't. We'll see. But the question is whether or not I actually want to design this right now. We'll keep it. And I'll just keep it named copy for now. Because I don't really have any ideas for what the naming convention should be for sort of second versions of commercial vessels. Oh, I got inactive labs. Did I finish the research? Oh yes, I forgot to redo the research for the maintenance stuff. Got distracted by the looking into designing a upgraded freighter. Thanks to the new engines that we got actually a while back, just, only now got around to actually looking at them. I'm going to tell you to go ahead and start looking into advanced gravitational sensors. That'll take you a while. Factory restored in Alpha Centauri. Shortage of corundium in production of mine on Earth. We're going to go ahead and tell this to pause for a little while. "13 years before we deplete all the corundium here." Cargo Group 1, you are still completing orders. 3rd Garrison Division has been trained, wonderful, but they're not going to be shipping out until the regiments under them are ready to ship out. And Alpha Centauri has recovered an abandoned financial center. Intriguing. We still have 18 installations on Mars. And there's the garrisons finished up. Wonderful. Wrong button. God, I will just, always hit the wrong button. Okay. Expeditionary Survey Group. Earth. Load up. Load all subunits as well. And grab the 3rd Garrison Division. Go to Alpha Centauri. Unload it. Fly back to Sol. And refuel. Another factory restored. Another one restored. 5 abandoned maintenance facilities on Alpha Centauri. That could be nice. And a couple of construction. Well, I say a couple. A construction factory on Alpha Centauri was also recovered. So Alpha Centauri can do a little bit of building itself up, which has some benefits. The question is, it is iridium for that, right? Yes, it is. So I don't think you can actually produce maintenance stockpiles because you don't have the other resources necessary. You only have the iridium, you don't have the calcite or duranium. So unless the game allows you to build it without having access to it, I don't think you can actually produce any. So I may end up wanting to just ship those off-world. Unless I want to ship them between Alpha Centauri B2 and A2. Which is an option. It's a fairly short run. But it's also one of those, that's just kind of a weird... Yeah, that's just such a weird thing to do. I don't think we're going to do that, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, no, you build, you don't. We're gonna ship those things, I think, off of Alpha Centauri. Sadly, because it only has the one material, it's very limited in its usefulness. Well, actually, I could do it with mass drivers, technically speaking. Do I have a free mass driver on Earth, out of curiosity? I think I gave us a couple when I started. Yes, I did. Okay. Okay. Add demand. Nope, not for automated mines. Mass driver. 1. Earth. Nope. Keep forgetting. Need to do that. Here we go. Earth is going to supply a single mass driver to Alpha Centauri A2. When we get around to colonizing Alpha Centauri B2, I will give it as well a mass driver so that it can sling it all off to A2 so that they can produce some maintenance supplies. That'll allow the planet to have some degree of a... Oh, you actually have a... Really? Okay. Well, I don't think you're going to be building anything because you don't have the materials. But you apparently have a ground construction factory. So that's a thing. Oh, yes. Also, I kind of forgot to do this earlier. Add Alpha Centauri and Psi Ceti to the Sol sector. Okay, we recovered just random wealth on Mars. But Explorer 1 has finished its overhaul. Where are you? You are in Earth. I think you're going through your overhaul right now, so... what has been surveyed entirely, out of curiosity? I think we're going to go to Kuiper 74. Or, excuse me, 79. There is a fairly small terrestrial planet there, but there's actually nothing there. Okay. Once you arrive there, go through jump point 1. Colony fleet has finished its orders. Wonderful. We're going to hold off on colonization of other systems for a little bit. We need to let these other places sort of build up, and Earth needs to also build up its mining so that it can ship those mines elsewhere. Okay, so what do I need? Do I need a Corundium for this? No, I don't. Wonderful. Yes, we're going to go ahead and build a couple of our AB Hammond freighters. We can build 2 at a time. So TRSS Able Streams and Able Foster. I believe those are all named after Liberty ships, if I recall correctly, is what I have them set for. Explorer 2 has finished its overhaul. So go to Alpha Centauri, go there, and go through jump point 1. Once you're done refueling. And Explorer 1 has arrived in a uninteresting system. Explorer 2 has arrived in what could be an interesting system. A couple of terrestrial worlds, some of which are like right in the habitable zone for us. Hence the darker shade of blue. In this game, the way this stuff works, generally speaking, is darker shade of blue, in this case, basically means it's better for us. It fits more in line with our desires. While the lighter blue means it's close. It's just not quite. If we actually pull it up here, we can see what the actual terms were. Habitable range worlds are the dark blue, while low-cost colony worlds are the light blue, though you can't really see it here with Sol. So Luna has finally shifted down just enough in its colony cost that it's under 2, which means it is now a habitable range world. It's a cold desert, not a particularly great place to live, I imagine, but it's not a barren rock in space anymore, at least. It does have a nice sheet, 10%. That'll melt as we increase the temperature of the planet. What is the temperature right now, anyway, for you, if we check? It is negative 37.5 degrees Celsius. Yeah. I believe argon is the resource the gas we want if we want to start melting that, which admittedly it might be worthwhile to switch to that, because I think getting the water might actually help us more than the nitrogen does. So we're going to switch you to argon, and you are 0.01. Also turn off Space Master, because I don't need it right now. Another jump point discovered. First cargo group has finished its orders. And the research into combat information systems has been completed. We're going to go ahead and dump that into geological sensors. And then just continue on. We had a couple more things that got finished. Shortage of thorium in fuel production at Alpha Centauri A2. Was that the factory you just got? Yes, it was. I don't think you even have access to thorium. Oh, no, you do. B2 also has some thorium, but really not a whole lot. So you just stop production, so you stop pausing the game every time. You realize that, hey, I don't have the ability to do that. And you found a mine. Or excuse me, not a mine. Yeah. Well, you did find a mine, but you also apparently found, on the turn before, a research lab. So we now have a single research lab on Alpha Centauri A2 that can do some research for us. We don't need to ship our scientists over there or anything, I guess. Either they do it themselves automatically or they manage this stuff from Earth. I don't know exactly which way it works. It's one of the two, at least. So I think we're going to go for... Let's go for mining rate, I think. That's going to be very helpful for us, but that's not going to be done until 2166. Yeah, because you only got the one. Hopefully you find a couple more research labs, guys. Oh, construction rate 16 has been completed. Dump your labs into currently ongoing research, because not everything is full. Oh, and apparently Luna has reached the required levels of argon already. Damn, that was fast. How has that affected the temperature? I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and I think we'll start adding oxygen. And that is 2.0. Excuse me, 0.2, rather. Basically, I just copy whatever Earth has. It's significantly easier. A couple more factories. Abandoned ordnance factory. That's not going to do you much good. Abandoned mine. That is helpful, I guess. Somebody got the President's Thanks Medal for generating 10,000 research points. And you have finished all your orders. Or rather, you have nothing else you can do in this system, so go ahead and leave. Head to the next place. It literally only has comets. That is such a worthless system. This is also going to be a worthless system, basically comprising of just the comet that is flying through. Holy shit, 5 million liters of fuel. Okay, well, clearly we do use liters. So now we know. But we apparently stumbled upon 5 million liters of fuel just apparently sitting buried at the bottom of a destroyed building or something, I guess, on Mars. So that's a thing. That was my timer that just went off. Let's go ahead and let this year wrap up. So I'll take this slowly. Bunch of people getting medals. Anything actually important showing up here? Nope, it's just a bunch of people getting their medals for 10, 20, and 30 years of service. We're gonna hide that because it's just a giant wall of yellow blinding text. Not always the most fun thing to look at, I'll admit. Okay, so this time we managed to successfully meet the deadline and at least colonize a couple of these systems before Veja Rome's re-election was up. To which she managed to win it. So, we have almost 5 million people living on Mars with a total max supported population of 4.98. Actually, this is a little confusing how it has its stuff labeled like this, and I think it's because the game dumped low gravity infrastructure over here for some reason. I don't know why. Oh, I guess technically it is low gravity. I guess technically Luna would also be low gravity though then, wouldn't it? But you haven't decided to dump any low gravity infrastructure on Luna. So I don't think that's right. Luna has a bunch of available workers, so I'm going to want to probably ship a couple more mines their way, I think. How many mines do you have? You have 100 right now. Let's go and get you up to 200 before we wrap this up. Let's kick that up. Edit supply. Increase that by 100. The game seems to be focused on those mines right now, though. It's decided to completely ignore Venus. Venus, again, is not going to be depleting anytime soon. The 300 mines that we're aiming for right now is not quite enough to actually get through this in a reasonable time frame. Luckily, though, that 4 million Galsite is such a useful resource. We may also attempt to terraform Venus much further down the road. Vesuvian worlds, if we pull up Sol here, tend to be absolutely massive with very sizable max populations, which can be nice if you turned it into like a giant financial planet, effectively. But they have the issue of they are a real pain to terraform. So if we do it, it's like a late game-ish type thing. So Yeah, we're not going to be touching that anytime soon. Yeah, Mercury could have also been a fairly decent place to colonize, but it wasn't really that important as far as I was concerned. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Luna. It is now considered a small terrestrial planet. I don't think it was that last time we looked. It's still a cold desert, though, of course. And the temp has actually gone up. Or, excuse me, has actually gone down. It's actually even colder than it was before. It's, environment, Luna. How is the oxygen going? It's going. It's going. Yeah, I think I don't recall which one it is that's particularly great for, heating up a planet. But the reality is, I think this is generally going to be happening on its own over time. So your max temperature... I don't know how your max temperature has actually shifted, because I don't recall what you were at the start. I can go and look back at the last video to figure that out, though, but I'm not doing that right this second. If nothing else, though, I can, go and add the gas that is good for heating up stuff. I think argon helps a little bit, but that's not like its go-to thing. I think it might be acetylicium, or how the hell it's pronounced. This one up here at the very top, I think might be the one that helps with heating up a planet. I could dump that on here and then remove it later, just to heat it up. And, in theory, the planet should generally be fairly stable after it gets heated up to where I want it to be. But I believe it'll heat up on its own again anyway. As I add the other gases, particularly I think nitrogen will also help a little bit. One of the main reasons why it's so cold is because it doesn't really have an atmosphere of its own initially. So, yeah, it doesn't quite have anything to keep the heat of the sun in and whatnot. But that's going to be it for this part. I will see you all next time, where we will be continuing to build up some of our new colonies, and maybe we'll establish a couple more. We'll see how that all goes. But until next time, goodbye and farewell.